take your ear and take your body that way. Yeah, go try and go over. Try and put your knees there. Go on. And that's your basic movement. Bridging into it's easy, but excuse me, I feel like the shoulder roll is a movement that's incredibly important for just so much of this. For arm locks, for scales.
Someone's heavier than lighter. Bridges are good, but I think that the roll probably gives you a bit more.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, if done properly, if I go and put my arms here and I backward roll, so I get myself into a forward. See, look, is it a bridge or is it a shoulder roll? Really, a bridge comes from the hips. This comes from the shoulders. But well, if you look at that basic,
as well.
Yes.
Roll.
Look at more elevation. But it comes from this, right? This is what you show through your shape. I just think this is like it's like showing you the mount. Remember this? It's like he's showing you the difference, right? Now, if you put your hand out here, it is like I can bridge. That's my bridge. And you can block my bridge easily. But if I shoulder roll, that's a shoulder roll. And that's why Henry doesn't emphasize landing on the shins. Because everything is about going over that. And if you go over that, that's almost unstoppable. Yeah. And so if you're on side control to me, if I can free a shoulder roll, it's much, much harder for you because I'm turning inside a much smaller space. I'm not going into you. I'm turning on a sixpence.
Yeah, a little rotation.
See? Yeah. So it's kind of like been a big, because it's just everywhere. All of a sudden your arm muscles guard feel better, that ability to climb feels better, the ability to reverse people from things like that don't look like you should be able to reverse them from. But it's because you're playing over this line and you're not playing over.
I guess some auxiliary technical standards as well, you can practice that as a solo drill shoulder rolls, can't you?
Yeah, I was just saying like a major part of, we've talked about it a lot, and Hickson did the Budo Jake lesson over the shoulder, but like that for me I think is a lesson in every position, is that it's so much harder most of the time for the guy who you're fighting, it's so much harder for him to defend this line on you versus defend that. And the more he plays here, perpendicular, which is a problem, the more you play here, getting the head out of the way. So you know we were talking about the arm bar, the last session that we were in, and like it goes back to the mount, right? If he's mounted on me, we do this, right? So it's very easy for Billy to play along these lines, along the auxiliary lines when he's here. This is the whole thing. He's got my hips are stuck, so unless his head goes behind his hips, it's hard for me to take him that way, right? If he's rounded. So when you think about like this, what I'm actually doing, if I went sideways, it would be definitely defined as a bridge, right? It would be a bridge. If I go sideways, if I go any angle, kind of like over anything that side, I'm assuming that's about 45 degrees, but anything that side of the 45 is going to be a bridge. It's going to finish as a bridge, right? And if he's really, really defending, I'm probably not going to roll him, right? Because it's a bridge. But what happens when I come here, what I'm really trying to do, which is really why, again, why my shins don't go, why my thighs go to the mat and not my shins, is because what I'm actually trying to execute is a shoulder roll. It's a shoulder roll. And that's making sure I'm going over that. So when he's got side control on me and I'm kind of based away from him, right? So something along these lines, right? I want to roll over that shoulder. So for me to roll over that shoulder, I'm kind of going to have to go a little bit flat and take everything out this way. And then it's just a shoulder roll. And what might happen is, he might fall on me, he might whatever, pull me back down. But from here, that's where I ended up with the guard recovery with you. I rolled over the back of my shoulder. And so it is mentally, it's a backward roll, which can turn, if there's nobody on you, or he's at kind of the side of you or whatever, if there's if I'm just doing like that Upa, right? I'm doing like that whole Upa thing. If you look at what it really is, it's a shoulder roll. It's kind of like that, but with the body. And so you don't want to go to these, because to go to this, you have to roll perpendicular. It's kind of, whether it's a roll or a bridge, but it's all at the hips versus it being at the here. So not the auxiliary line, it's this line.
What do you mean by it's not like the hips?
This, if I roll anywhere on that 45, it's all my hips moving. It's my hips are moving, and they're moving like this is coming over the top. What I'm actually trying to do really is take my hips over my shoulder.
It's like a diagonal between your opposite hip and your shoulder, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm doing that. I'm really trying to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got connection. I'm going to hit body. But what was it you said, James?
Is it a diagonal between this hip and that shoulder? That's the angle.
Yeah, it's backward roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's attack against force, isn't it? As well. One thing I keep thinking about is how goats sort of move against the force.
Right.
By sort of attacking, like moving on the skinny X.
Right.
So the force is there, and you're sort of rolling over one way.
It's doing
And then
that.
regarding the other way.
Right.
So do you know what I mean? It's like,
So they go with the force.
so you use the force.
Not
Like
like
just-
So you go with it in momentum and then come back.
Yeah,
Basically.
so you sort of go one way and then come back the other way.
Yeah, I think that is everywhere on the bottom, and it's kind of like the more you look at what he was showing him, he really was sort of showing him something incredibly profound. Because I watch Hickson in all these positions, and watch him do his warm ups. I posted a picture of it the other day. But watch any of Hickson's warm ups at his seminars or one at his house. But you go there and you see him, and he does this sort of thing all the time. Everything is over the shoulders.
Yeah.
It's never sideways. It's all on these narrow, back to the skinny X, sort of this cross. Everything is there, because this is so important to prevent transitions. And so if they're trying to prevent a transition on one side, the shoulders are open. Again, if you look at what mount is, we'll only think of mount as being not perpendicular, really. I'm shutting off his position. It gives me both of his sides. It usually gives me, I've got some kind of control of if his arms aren't, I mean, that's like, so that's just another world of difficulty. But if I'm here, I have some auxiliary, I'm beginning to get some auxiliary plane. And the idea that, I start putting, and I walk up, right? But what I'm trying to do is open this space up. But the one thing I don't really have is that once he takes his ear to this line, now he has that opening, and now it's backward roll time. And it ends up with me landing, usually with my hand catching myself in the space that he's basically doing that himself.
And to defend that, you have to sit into the opposite corner.
Which is, you start distributing weight, and then there's a moment of opening. But yeah, it's all over. It's all these lines. It's all those lines. So
I was playing with that guard stuff that we did a couple of days ago, and it's quite unless